is the Glass Cannon Network.
Hello, it is the year 2022, and you have just tuned into the Game Garage on the Glass Cannon Network. My name is Jared Logan. I'm a game master. This is a show where we play tabletop role-playing games. With me, I have a stellar cast of performers who will be bringing to life some characters for you today. Please welcome Paula Deming, Mary Lou, and Joe O'Brien, everybody. What's up, guys?
Hello.
Hi.
This is the Game Garage. It's a new show here on the Glass Cannon where we are going to debut a couple different games, lots of different games. We're going to do a short mini series, 5 episodes of these various games. And today we are playing an incredible game from Pelgrane Press and the writer Kevin Culp. It is called TimeWatch. TimeWatch. And our friends at Pelgrane Press have even given us a discount code. After you watch us play today, you're going to want to buy a copy of TimeWatch. So go to Pelgrane's website and put in Glass Cannon, where they ask for a discount code, and you'll get 10% off of TimeWatch merchandise. So TimeWatch is a time travel game. Are you guys time travel fans?
Always. I watch a lot of Doctor Who, so
Doctor Who.
Yes.
Well, that's perfect.
But no spoilers.
This game's a lot like Doctor Who.
Because I'm not caught up. I'm about to start Jodie Whittaker's era, and so don't spoil anything for me. It's actually very important, but I love it, and so yes, I'm here for it.
That's where I'm at. I haven't started Jodie Whittaker yet, but I saw all the Matt Smith, and I love it.
Have you watched Peter Capaldi?
Oh wait, I haven't watched Peter Capaldi either.
Amazing. Yes. Peter Capaldi is right up there with like David Tennant is my doctor, and Peter Capaldi is like real close for me personally.
Yeah. Okay. I'll watch Peter Capaldi. I haven't gotten there yet. What about you,
really
Mary
good.
Lou? Are you a time travel fan? Is there something that you like from time travel stuff?
I love like bad time travel. Like I love Interstellar and okay. What was that one? So I grew up on that one show. God, it's right on the tip of my tongue. It's that one show where he jumped into different bodies and different times. Quantum Leap. Quantum Leap.
The greatest show of all time.
Yes. I love Quantum Leap. I watched so much of that growing up. Yeah.
Scott Bakula is the best. Da 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 da. Great theme song too.
Oh, great theme song, great voiceover that the telling of that story, the narrative, what he does. It's so like deep and meaningful. Like
yes. Time travel within his own lifetime. Dr. something stepped into the quantum leap accelerator and vanished. Yeah.
I've only seen like 3 episodes.
Time travel. I love time travel stories where like you have to like solve a problem or like heal your soul in order to like go back in time, when the 5th dimension is love. I love that.
The fifth element.
That too. Yeah.
Right.
That
Absolutely.
too.
Well, we'll do our best to make sure that there's a character arc here where we learn that love was really the real reason we travel.
Or friendship or like self-respect, or standing up for yourself or, whenever we learn like a little lesson. I love that.
Gets me every time.
Let me just make a note to teach Mary Lou a lesson. Wait, that's not how I wanted that to come out. And then, Joe, what about you? What's your time travel, John, that you like?
I'm the same as Mary Lou. I mean, Quantum Leap. I grew up on Quantum Leap. I love Quantum Leap. Quantum Leap is what I always want like if I was going to run this game, it would be my dream for it to end up just like an episode of Quantum Leap. And it's like a lot of RPGs that I run. I'm like, this is what I imagine it being. There's meaning and there's lessons and there's love. But with my friends, it always just ends up being fart jokes and just like killing a lot of people and laughing about it. And I'm like, come on, we're trying to make it serious here. But yeah, Quantum Leap, I love. And I can't think of.
Let's be
anything else at the
aspirational,
moment.
guys. I mean, we're
Okay.
about to start a new game here. It's a new show, The Game Garage, where we show off new games. I mean, this is our chance to really get into some deep character role play and really learn lessons and become better people through a game with a dinosaur on the cover.
I love it.
I know, with a bunch of people shooting a dinosaur. I love it. I should also say,
Murder
I
and
think it's
fart jokes are
important.
also fine. Go ahead. Sorry, John.
I think it's important to mention at this stage, I don't know, maybe I need to like revoke my nerd card, but I don't think I've ever seen a full episode of Doctor Who.
That's okay.
That's
I don't
all
know
right.
anything
Then I
watching
also
it.
need to
about Doctor
revoke.
Who.
I also need to revoke my nerd card then, because it's the one
fine.
franchise that I haven't.
It can be tricky
obsessed
to
with.
find sometimes. It's
Hard
not
to
on.
dive into as well, I think, because there's so much of it. And I was intimidated by it for a long time because of that. But look, Classic Who is great, and I've been watching more of that. But you can start with the new Who, which started in like 2005, I think.
Right.
With Christopher Eccleston.
Okay.
Some people don't like him, but I really believe you should watch Christopher Eccleston so that you can appreciate David Tennant, I feel like.
Okay.
Like the
Alright.
arc, the character's journey.
Yeah.
But there's a lot, so it can be intimidating to dive into. And yeah, I don't really know, other than like purchasing the DVDs, how do you watch all of it? That's kind of tough.
I
But
think
you're
that's
right
what
that it is
intimidated me.
intimidating.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it-
because I'm a completionist. I don't listen to podcasts because I can't listen to every podcast. And that
Yeah,
upsets
they're
me, so
all
I
part
listen
of
to
one
no
big
podcasts.
story.
And so, but I'm not afraid of something big and perhaps bad. I watched all of Battlestar Galactica.
Right. Well, then you can definitely do the new Doctor Who.
I can do
And,
new Doctor Who.
It's very British. Do people like that?
Oh, yeah.
It's
The
I'm
Sure.
a big
The
Anglophile.
more
so-
British
TV.
something
they're
is,
so
the more
funny.
I love it.
so funny, especially when
They're
they're
so
baking
funny.
and they want to pretend like they're not emotionally affected by their baking. And they're like, fine, it
Very
just wasn't
silly
a good
vibes.
day. And I'm like, just cry. Let it out.
Writing
Feel
in that
your
we need to add
feelings.
baking to the adventure as well. Okay.
That's not the British way, Paula. We pack
Yeah,
it away. No emotions.
Yeah.
I love British TV. I soak up. Like you said, the more British it is, the better. The more I get toward needing subtitles to understand it, it's like that's what the more northern it gets. I'm like this. What was that one crime show with that wonderful actress? Oh my god,
They're all crime
Happy
shows.
Valley.
yeah, they're all crime shows. Happy Valley. That was
Happy
it. Happy Valley was
I knew it.
so good, and it was
So
like I
good.
could barely understand any of them. It was amazing.
Yeah.
That
Knew it. Yeah, so good. Amazing.
A girlfriend once made me turn off the movie Sexy Beast because she couldn't understand the British accents. So, have you ever seen Sexy Beast? Ben Kingsley? Oh, I'm alone.
No.
I'm the only one that's seen this. It's the best gangster
just
movie of all
you.
time.
I guess
I
we all
gotta say
need to
that
turn
doesn't
in our
really
gangster
sound.
red
Doesn't
card.
really sound like the average Ben Kingsley movie.
Sexy Beast. Look, I mean, it's like British gangster guys call each other weird stuff like Sexy Beast. It's like a weird Cockney.
They're
Let's
so silly.
get into the game. Let's
They're
get into the
so
game.
silly.
Oh, those
I love the British
people.
because they think they're very serious, but they're incredibly silly.
They're adorable.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we've
British
lost
people are
all of them.
accidentally adorable.
from this show now. Thank you for the time you spent here with us. It was great.
Yeah, goodbye.
I promise I won't be doing a British accent during this game. That's my promise to everyone watching.
I promise I will. I'm going to make that happen. We got to have a British accent.
And
Otherwise,
I
it's not a
make-
real RPG, right?
That's true.
Yeah,
And I make
I've played
absolutely
games-
no promises.
I've played
About
games
any-
set in America in the 90s where people just do a British accent because they think that's what role-playing voice sounds like. Like, well, I'm role-playing, so I guess I talk like this.
If it's fantasy or sci-fi, everybody has a British accent for no reason.
It's
So
true.
That actually makes sense.
Well, this is sci-fi, so bring them on. Bring on those British accents. Let's get into the game just a little bit. So, TimeWatch is a game where you play people who are part of an organization called TimeWatch, which polices history for changes in the timeline that have been wreaked by evil time travelers. People try to go back and change history from what it should be. And your team, you're one of many teams that belong to TimeWatch. You go back and you put it to rights. You fix what was wrong. But in order to do that, you have to investigate the change that has occurred. So in this game, it's about half investigation as you travel back in time and investigate what exactly changed that has made history different. And then it's half action as you then put it to rights. You find the culprit, you take them down, you stop them from wrecking history, and you put everything back to normal. So we are going to start with a little character creation today. And I asked each of our players to kind of come up with a concept for their character. And here's the thing. TimeWatch says in the book, you can be someone from any point in history. TimeWatch recruits people from all of human history and even non-human history. You can be someone from the prehistoric past, like a Neanderthal. You could be someone from the 1920s. You could be someone from the future. You could make up future history and be someone like that. So really almost anything is possible. And that's the thing we're going to keep running into with this game. So much is possible, it sort of boggles the mind because you're about to get your own personal time machine, and that does a lot of wonky things to a role-playing game. But I can't wait to see what you guys do with it. But for right now, I would like to just start by opening some character sheets here. And let's talk to Joe O'Brien. Joe O'Brien, did you come up with an idea for a character from history that you'd like to play as?
Not really. I mean, I came up with a few like loose concepts because
same. Okay.
It's very intimidating, Jared.
Mary Lou's like, that's also what I did. I didn't come up with something, and that's fine.
No. I came up with something. It's just, let's call it a nugget or a seed.
Let's see what grows out
a juicy nug.
The assignments of points, you know?
Yeah.
We'll be inspired.
All right, Joe O'Brien,
I'll say
let me
this.
see your nug.
I've got what we could. I've got a jumping off point. All right. So I'll just start somewhere, but I reserve the right to change everything because I'm reading this book and it's amazing. It's really interesting the way that they describe how time travel works and the rules and like why it's something you can't just do willy nilly. And it's really cool. And when they talk about the needs of the group, they're like, it's very important when you're making your group that like you spread out your expertise in various areas so that people know different times of history or different kinds of history and everything like that. So it's really cool to work together to do that. So I'm excited for that. But anyway, my jumping off point. So I will say I was thinking kind of on the explorer end of things. And I was thinking circa 19th century. And then I got into this idea of like kind of a sailing like an explorer that goes to the frozen wastes looking for like the North Pole or something, right?
This
like
isn't
in the 19th
Call of
century.
Cthulhu. No, I'm just like flashing back to like
It
you
does
find
feel a little
something
bit
under
like
the
Call of
ice.
Cthulhu.
It's the
Right.
and it
discover? Could be. I think Jared's always going to dribble in a little horror, so I like to prepare myself for it with haunted characters. But yeah, no, I'm thinking somebody that's on a ship, basically, and who is good at like outdoor survival, who's rugged and probably also thinking about it. If it's like mid 19th century, they're probably, if they're an officer or something, they're probably part of the aristocracy in some way. Because I'm thinking British, obviously, because I'm going to do a British accent, right? So
right, we have to. We're role playing.
Yeah.
So there might be some element of like knowing your way around society and stuff like that, like high society, even though they're an explorer. So that's kind of like where I'm at. Rough sketch.
I think that's perfect. And you know, in the 19th century, there were many expeditions to find the Northwest Passage. If anybody's familiar with the recent TV miniseries and novel, The Terror, it's about these ships that went up to find the Northwest Passage and got stuck in the ice, and the entire crew died. They just got trapped up there and never came back. And that's a perfect scenario to get recruited to TimeWatch because TimeWatch wants to recruit people who disappeared mysteriously or who don't leave a huge historical footprint, you know? So your character could have gone up on one of these expeditions.
Last man standing.
Right. And as I was thinking about it, and as I was thinking about it, I'm like, what about family and stuff like that? Because it's very interesting. The book lays out like, it could be dangerous if you want to try to like return to your family after you know about TimeWatch. You might not be able to really do it and stuff. And I was like, well, what about someone who was gone missing, right? Like someone who just wasn't expected to come back. Whatever they were doing was so dangerous. So, and it could be that. It could also be like the Amazon or something, exploring the Amazon, exploring whatever. But in either case, something dangerous, a dangerous explorer who's kind of has aristocratic sort of ties is my idea.
Excellent. So I think that's a fantastic idea. He needs a name. It sounds like he's British. We can put in that for his nationality. His origin time sounds like I'm trying to remember when those expeditions to the Northwest Passage occurred, but I think they occurred in like the 1840s. Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe born in like
that's what I was going to say. Mm-hmm. Yeah, 1840s, totally.
Yeah,
I knew that.
I love that we said that in unison. Like that's one of the nerdiest moments I've ever had.
That was really, really awesome.
So I'm thinking maybe why don't we say born maybe like during the War of 1812, which I still don't ever remember what happens for whatever reason in that war, but right around that time, so that they would be in their 30s.
Canada to make a point,
and then Canada burned down the White House.
Yes, successfully burned down the White House.
Cool.
All right, great. I'm just going to put in British, origin time, 1840s, profession explorer, right? Is that right?
Yeah, profession explorer, yeah.
How old is he?
I'm thinking 30s. So he will look late 50s. He's like super intense.
Brined.
Yeah, exactly. It's like
tanned and brined by the elements.
Yeah.
So what do you think? So now we're going to talk about drive a little bit. Drive is a little character thing. So in this game, you have drives, which are the thing that makes your character adventure. It might be greed, or it might be curiosity, or it might be ambition. It's like a personal characteristic that you have. And when you fulfill that drive, when you do actions that kind of go along with that drive, you might get a stitch. What are stitches? Stitches in TimeWatch are character points that you can spend to get a number of benefits. Basically, you can get pluses to your rolls. You can get, you can skip certain rolls that are kind of tough on you. There are all these different character benefits you get by spending stitches if you fulfill your drive in TimeWatch. So there are some listed, but really it's kind of you make it up. What do you think drives this gentleman?
I think I'm going to put on a little music here. Hold on. I got distracted. We jumped in so deep so fast. What drives him?
Here we are. Now we're here. We got to make the best of it. What's your drive? Tell me now.
That's such an important part. I would say his drive is ambition. I would say maybe he's on the lower end of the sort of nobility spectrum, right? Maybe not terribly well respected, and he's trying to overcome this to make a good name for himself, and just raise his reputation in society. I mean, that was his drive then. What is his drive once he gets into TimeWatch? It's like,
TimeWatch are good guys, or at least they really think that they are. You know, people make changes to history, or sometimes creatures, alien, extraterrestrial factions make changes to history, and they put it to rights. They basically have what they say is the true history. Some people say that they made it up, and that TimeWatch are the only people that are promoting this version of history. But and they try to like fix things so that people don't take advantage of the time stream. So he is a good guy, or he's working for a organization that sees itself as honorable and good. Ambition is great if he wants to rise through the ranks.
You know what? Why don't we focus on the explorer element for the moment? Because I think that is something you could really keep open. Is like he has this innate desire to just like see new places or places nobody's ever seen before. And that is what drove him into doing things that are so wildly, ludicrously dangerous in a life where he might have had a life of privilege, right? Like he could have just like rested on his laurels, but instead he's like wants to strike out to these places. And when it comes to TimeWatch, he has this opportunity to see things that no one in his lifetime could ever have seen, right? The future, the past, different parts of the world or different parts of other worlds. And that I think is what drives him, is like he constantly wants to go to new places and see different things, even if it is at a risk to his own life.
That sounds like curiosity, which is here in the book. You don't have to go with what's in the book, but I went ahead and put in curiosity for you. But I get it. It's like this wanderlust. He wants to see the universe.
Yes, wanderlust.
And he will see more of the universe than most people by joining a time-traveling patrol organization. We will talk about, you get a bunch of equipment standard when you join TimeWatch. We'll talk about that in a minute. What I would like to get you started on are your investigative abilities. So, listeners and viewers and my players, in TimeWatch, there are two types of abilities or skills that your character can use. One half of your abilities are called investigative abilities, and you use those abilities when you're sort of solving the crime. What has someone done to history? How has history changed? Who is responsible? What was the turning point? Investigative abilities work in a very unique way in Pelgrane Press's Gumshoe series. Gumshoe is a role-playing system created by Robin Laws, and basically he got tired of, in Call of Cthulhu, when people would roll to find something out when they were solving a mystery, investigating a mystery, and they would fail, and then they just wouldn't get any information. So in Gumshoe systems, and TimeWatch is one of these, the investigative abilities, if you have that ability, if you have it on your sheet, then you are an expert in it. And if you go into a situation and you simply say, I'm using my military tactics investigative ability, or I'm using my streetwise investigative ability, if you just say that, then you will get a clue. If there is any clue to do with military tactics or any clue to do with streetwise, you will get a clue automatically. You don't have to roll to get clues. So that's a little bit how the investigative abilities work. You simply say, hey, I'm using my anthropology. And if I, the game master, think, oh, there's something you could learn from anthropology here, I'll just give you the clue. I'm going to make you say you're using it. I'm not going to keep constantly be suggesting to you, like, don't you think you better try your high society? I'm not going to do that. I want the players to kind of say, hey, it feels like I could go, talk to the officers in this camp using high society, and then I'll give you a clue. Now, these investigative abilities have points. What does that mean? It means that beside each of the investigative abilities, you put a number, and you're about to divide up your points, Joe, and assign them to different investigative abilities. When you are using your investigative abilities, you can spend a point from one of your investigative abilities to get some sort of bonus or benefit. I'll give you an example. There is a investigative ability called Charm. Okay? If you were using Charm, let's say you're using Charm on the incredibly handsome, beefcakey assistant of an evil scientist you're investigating, right? And if you use Charm on him, you might get him to like you and give you a clue. But if you spent a point from your Charm, or 2 points, he might actively betray the evil scientist and help you defeat him in the end, right? For high society, that was one of the investigative abilities we talked about. You could find a clue from those officers in the camp by using high society, but if you spent a point, they might actually give you equipment, or they might actually go with you to where you're going and help you fight the Yeti or whatever you're dealing with that particular week. So
it's sort of like, if you're thinking of it in D&D terms, it's sort of like, to me, it sounds like critting on a diplomacy check or something like that.
That's exactly right.
It's the best possible result.
And you spend points to decide to crit in this game.
Right.
Right. And so
I prefer that than trying to roll for it. Let me tell you, I'll just pay for it.
But your pool points go down, and when you're out of pool points, those are gone until the next adventure. In investigative abilities, there's another type of abilities that we'll talk about in a minute. But if your investigative ability goes down to 0 points, That's it for that adventure. None of your investigative abilities should really be higher than 4. That's kind of the top. I mean, technically, I guess I'm allowed to let you go to 5 or 6, but you probably won't have that many opportunities to use, say, your outdoor survival in one adventure. So why make it 5? You know what I mean? Make it like 1 to 3 generally. So Joe, because there are 3 players playing, you have, you're already spending them. You have 20 investigative pool points to spend. And I'm going to just go ahead and I'm going to hop to Paula in a second. But first I'm going to, so Paula, you're on deck. Get ready, girl. But, but I am going to say, I'm
doing is just loosely putting some points in that if any of you guys, Mary Lou or Paula, wanted to look at, just sort of like, based on this rough sketch of what I think this guy might have some basic knowledge in right out of the gate. He's an officer, so authority, and he probably knows a little bit about bureaucracy. So yeah, I'm thinking high society, bureaucracy, authority.
Yeah.
Notice, outdoor survival. What is paradox prevention? That seems like something that's
Great
crazy
question.
valuable.
So there's a couple skills that are, of course, unique to a time travel game, and paradox prevention is one of them. Paradox prevention is something that you can spend points out of to do crazy time travel-y things like call yourself in to help fight alongside you.
Yes, please.
Or send yourself a note from the future telling you to make sure you do a certain thing. Or like, the classic example is you're trapped inside of a jail cell. You say, you know what I'm going to do? In the future, I'm going to travel back earlier, and I'm going to put the key under a brick that I haven't looked under yet. You would spend points from paradox prevention to do that. If you were using it in a purely investigative sense, you would learn things about paradoxes, but by spending points, you can do paradoxical stuff.
Okay. Yep. Yes, please. So I'll put a point there.
Cool.
Worth noting that everybody starts with 1 point in Timecraft because you were trained by TimeWatch. Timecraft is like you can trace time signatures back to their point of origin. You can tell if someone is a time traveler. You can do all kinds of timey-wimey things on your equipment to learn things about time travel.
Okay.
Everybody starts with 1 point in that automatic.
I just put out a series of 1s in the basic things I think that this character, as I'm imagining him, would have. And so I would just want to leave it there for the moment and see what Paula is coming up with.
Okay.
Because I don't want either of you guys, to not do any of these abilities because you see something there, because I'm happy to move things around and change things around your concepts. So why don't I just sit it there for a moment, and I can add more to those as we go in if we decide to dump more.
We get 20 total,
Yeah, you
or
get
is that
20,
also for general abilities?
That's only for your investigative abilities. You get 20 points to spend.
And I think you get 50 for general abilities, right?
That's right. So let's hop over to Paula, and let's talk to Paula about what do you think your character will be, Paula?
Okay. So
all of
here's what
time
I've
and
been
space.
mulling around. And I know we have
Yeah.
all of time and space, but I'm thinking something actually somewhat similar, maybe a generation or two departed from what Joe is talking about. But I'll tell you a secret about me. It's not that much of a secret. I always have wanted to be in like a Western, and I thought this is the perfect opportunity to be someone like that. And the concept has evolved a little as I've thought about it. But I think I'm like almost like an Annie Oakley type of person. I'm imagining an orphan who learned somehow, I'm not sure, maybe I got picked up by one of those I think it was Wild Bill Hickok had like a traveling wild show with like trick shooting and stuff. So almost like a circus situation where I've learned to like trick ride on horse, and I'm like a sharpshooter. So I can do like tricks, like I can like on my horse I can like hook my foot into the stirrup and like lean upside down and like shoot at targets and stuff.
Hell yeah.
And
That's awesome.
just traveling around like with no family connections, and maybe an accident happened one day and I was gonna die or lose a limb of some sort, and that's when TimeWatch recruited me. Maybe people think I died. I'm not
love
sure.
that. Yeah,
What
if
if-
you like that, I think that's great.
Love
Is
that.
this
That's
too
awesome.
much? I got this idea while Joe was talking. What if in this accident, the injury means I did like lose my arm, and so TimeWatch fitted me with like a cyborg type arm. So I'm like a prosthetic robot arm Western.
Yes.
Sure,
Annie
I've
Oakley
had
with
to
a
like
bionic
relearn how to shoot with my robot arm. I don't know.
Absolutely.
Paula,
Is that
so
cool?
basically your concept is
That's huge.
cyborg cowboy. Cowgirl.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
Great.
That is amazing.
Approved.
All right, I need to go
GM
back and
approved.
get a robotic limb at some point. We'll come back to me. We'll come
Yeah,
back.
and I'd be like probably from like just before the turn of the century. I think like 1880s. I was trying to look up when like Annie Oakley did her thing. She was born in 1860, so we're looking at probably like that. Not that we need to be based factually in that because we don't, but probably like 1880s, late 1800s is when I would have been plucked from.
Yeah,
Paula,
you
I'm
know,
going to offer you something because
Yeah.
one of my I had two character ideas, and one of them was like a gunslinger type. But the idea I had, which you're welcome to adopt if you like, was that she's like a cowgirl from post-electric apocalypse Texas. So it's still like a gunslinger Annie Oakley type, but because it's like 2020, or 2200 after the electric apocalypse, and so the only, it's the Wild West again. So if you want to take that for a little bit of time variation, I just want to give you that. If you
That
like
is a
it.
thought. Yeah.
I'm gonna leave this here if you don't like
that
it.
down on
And
the
you
table.
can. I'm gonna set it down.
Right.
You don't have to pick it up. I put it down. You don't have to
I'm
pick
just
it up.
let me put it this way. I'm writing down that there was an electric apocalypse. I didn't know that, but
There was.
Mary
there
Lou has
was.
written
There
some
was.
future history for us, so that's definitely canon now. That
Definitely an electric apocalypse in 2200.
At some point, the U.S. went back to the Wild West days. I will also say, if we're talking about a historical cow person, a historical Rough Rider, the Wild West stunt shows were happening like in 1900 all the way up into the 1910s.
That's true, yeah.
But the golden age of the West was exactly what you were saying, 1880s. So by the time 1900 had rolled around, they were like, oh, we're doing shows about it,
Right. That's a good point. Yeah.
So I mean, it's up to you, and I think Mary Lou's idea is awesome too. Like, you can be future cowgirl, you can be golden. Like she really lived it, the real, genuine, like actual Wild West, or she was like a little bit more of a performer and someone who had the background, but then used it as one of these traveling shows, maybe a little later in the timeline.
Yeah.
What do you think, Paula?
I actually am really intrigued by this idea of her being more of like a performer.
Yeah.
Because maybe that could lean into a drive is wanting to, how like in Star Trek TNG, Worf is always having to prove that he's the most Klingon because he didn't actually grow up with other Klingons. And maybe she's trying to prove that she's the most like cowgirl of the cowgirls, whatever, even though she's like just past the time. She didn't actually live it, but she wished she did when she was in this performing thing that happened like just past its golden age. Does that sort of make some sense?
I love that idea. So why don't we put her in like 1900 then is when she
Right.
got picked up. And her profession was stunt, what do you want to call it? Circus performer, stunt cowgirl. I don't know how to
Sharpshooter.
sharpshooter. That's
Yeah, they say sharpshooter performer.
great.
Novelty sharpshooter.
Novelty sharpshooter.
And then how old was she when she got plucked out of the time stream?
Well, she can't be too old because your body starts, as I've learned, being in my 30s, your body starts to fall apart real fast. So she's probably like, let's make her like young and totally impulsive, like 18. Let's say she's
I love
like
it.
18 years old.
Ooh.
I really love that. And then
Because now she'll make a bunch of dumb decisions.
so that drive thing you were talking about, I'm looking up the drives here, and there's one says risk taker, thrill seeker. How would you describe it?
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, like a risk taker, proving. I think she wants to prove that she's like brave and wild, and so she does that by like taking risks, even though that's not very healthy.
That's great. I'm putting down risk taker. So when she takes big risks, she could possibly get a stitch.
Cool.
And so she needs a name. So think about that. And then you can start filling in these investigative pool points. There's academic investigative abilities, interpersonal investigative abilities, and technical investigative abilities. And it looks like you've already filled some in here.
Those are just there for some reason.
Oh, let's get rid of those. I don't know how they ended up there, but we'll get rid of those. Something wasn't cleared from the sheet. So you have 20 points to spend in these abilities.
I think she actually has like almost no outdoor survival because she traveled with a circus, right? She actually has like none of that.
That's funny.
Okay, great.
I think. Oh gosh, I'll just like throw some things out, and then again we can see, kind of like Joe was saying, Mary Lou. We can feel out what you're thinking, and then we can all. But I think as a performer, she's probably got some charm.
Yeah, that's good.
I don't think she has authority or bureaucracy. I like the idea of falsehood detection, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Think about how many times people try to pull one over on circus performers, right? Like, they try to take advantage of them. I mean, the circus as a whole, right? They come to town and they're just like, they try to manipulate them and
or the opposite.
Yeah. Right, or the opposite.
Yeah, the circus
you
people
learn
are
from the
such
best.
liars. Yeah, you learn from the best.
Carnies.
That's right. I think, is there something maybe I like that science has an exclamation point, that she's had to learn about her like cyborg arm. So there's got to be some training in, would that be like science?
Absolutely.
So something like that. I also love the idea of a paradox prevention.
Yeah.
They're so.
Well, I mean, what
so
about?
Much.
Can I pitch?
Yeah.
Can I pitch streetwise? Maybe not for the urban aspect, but you are good at interacting with low status individuals. I mean, I kind of feel like that's essential to that.
Yeah. And there's maybe some form of, because she's like, I think she's always trying to make herself seem tougher maybe than she is. So I don't know if does she actually have intimidation, or does she just think she does? Or maybe she's more of like, she's got some taunt. So she knows how to like talk shit, excuse me.
She knows how to push
I don't
buttons.
know. But maybe that's not intimidating, but yeah, push buttons is a good. Ooh. So maybe something in taunt.
Oh, can you, again, Mary Lou, I don't know what you're thinking. I don't know what you're cooking up over there, but I'm thinking spying would be awesome too, because
spying would be really fun.
If they treated you like a little like rugrat that like could go get information, didn't look like anyone that was dangerous, you know what I mean? Going into a local saloon and just like listening for information or pickpocketing or whatever.
Yeah, I like that as well. I'll put a little mark in there again, depending on, do you have an idea for something like that, Mary Lou?
I bet she has medical expertise. Being a sharpshooter, like you got to know how to staunch wounds should there be any accidents.
Should something happen.
You also know
or
where to hit,
with,
like an anatomist.
Yeah, totally.
Oh yeah, great.
Or like awesome. Traveling, with the circus. There's no, you don't have like a hospital. You guys got to like. We got to kind of
deal with it ourselves. Yeah.
So I bet medical expertise is in there for sure.
I like that idea a lot. Now, should we? So far, Jared, I don't feel like, and again, Mary Lou hasn't had a chance yet, but Joe and I haven't popped anything much, I don't think, into these academic abilities. Do we need to be thinking about like something?
Yeah.
Stuff there, probably.
We need to cover all of them. So what I say is like, it's not, I put history contemporary because I think, but I could easily see him being trained in history ancient as well. Cause like he would have had education and like a pretty strict education. So learning about ancient history could have been part of his thing. I just didn't put it out there to start. I say we kick it to Mary Lou and see where this starts shaking out. But then we go back and we start figuring out how to plug in these holes.
Yeah.
And we can also adjust the characters as we do that. You know what I mean?
True.
To fit what we need.
For now, I've just put a little marker to remind myself in military tactics. Maybe I got some training because, again, being a sharpshooter, and also trivia feels like something that might be right as well. So
You're a
just
traveling circus performer. Heck
right?
yeah.
You've learned a lot
She's
about a lot of
gathered
different
lots
things.
of random.
Exactly.
Totally.
That's great. And I also like the idea of you having a little bit of knowledge on the like land military tactics end, and I have a little more knowledge on the naval military tactics end.
That would make some sense.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
Okay.
Totally. Okay. That's a good pencil in for now.
That's a perfect start. And as we're talking to Mary Lou, like if you feel yourself ready to pop in more points into those investigative abilities to get them up to 20, go ahead and do that. Perfect. Mary Lou, where are we going?
Okay. So I had like two ideas that intrigued me. One was the post-electric apocalypse Texas gunslinger, but we got that covered, which I love. And this other one that I was really intrigued by was a 20s flapper girl, sort of like a dancing spy. So funny you say spy.
Oh,
yes.
okay.
Just kind of like, she's unobtrusive and you never know, but like, yeah, she's actually stealing all of your secrets and selling them on the black market. You know what I mean? Like,
I love that we're actually kind of all from a narrow band of
very
time,
narrow
actually.
window.
We all maybe
like
that's
40
what like,
years.
drew
We
us
got
together.
1880, 1900, and 1920.
We kind of all felt
that's
like
so funny.
we had something in common because we were from similar times, and maybe that's also a weakness we have as a team, but also it's sort of our strength. You know what I mean?
Maybe. Oh, I love that.
Our strength comes. I think it's just the GM's job to make all the adventures set in that exact area, and then we don't have to worry about those weaknesses.
Who knows where you'll go? Right now, I'm thinking the Paleolithic era. Or
I know. I was going to say. I think I need to go Neanderthal at this point. We need to separate a few thousand years.
Oh my god!
A 1920s spy sounds really, really cool.
That sounds amazing.
Let's create her. Is she American?
She's American. She's from Brooklyn. That's where she grew up. She was born, this name that I like. She was born Emma Jean, but she wanted it to be fancy, so she spells it Imogene.
Go ahead. You can put that in if you want.
Oh, it's in. Imogene. Yeah, she just sort of, she grew up incredibly poor. She was like, came from the gutter kind of thing. A big family. Mom and dad couldn't stop having kids. I'm one of the oldest, and I had to sort of take care of myself and my other siblings. So I got into dancing and stuff. And somehow I think got into, was in a room one day, and nobody pays attention to the girl in the corner. So heard something, and then was able to parry that information to, money, and got into the world of like spying.
Do you think that she, maybe, at the time there are all these city fathers who are constantly jockeying for votes, and they have this sort of high society world where they go to the speakeasies. Mm-hmm. You think maybe it's something like that, or do you think it's more like international spying?
I was thinking just like sort of low level, but maybe that's where she started, right?
I like that, yeah.
She started in the speakeasies, and then somebody caught wind of like this little street rat who's been making a lot of money and causing a lot of problems, and maybe she got adopted into some sort of international, maybe the CIA or something, into international politics, perhaps.
Yeah, it'll be a couple years in the 20s before there is any sort of CIA, but I love that. Like. Maybe she could be working with the Pinkertons, or
definitely working. Yeah, absolutely.
That's cool. But and also the international thing, that does not have to be before you got plucked. Like
Right,
you could have
that could be
gotten plucked and then been trained up in like the entire length of the history of time spying.
Yeah.
You know, like
Yeah.
and not just countries, but spying in the future, spying in the past. That's just what a cool idea.
Yeah,
That's really
absolutely. Just like our sharpshooter has a cybernetic arm, you guys get lots of training once you join TimeWatch, and this isn't your first adventure, your characters, so lots has happened to you. So even when you're filling in your investigative abilities, even if you're like at first like, I don't know if I would have that, I don't know if I would have ancient history. Well, you can rationalize anything by going, well, TimeWatch trained me to know that because I had to be part of this team. So that is not an attempt by me to get you to take ancient history. It's just saying you can have any skill you want, is what I'm saying. How old is our spy, Imogene?
I was thinking younger, like 25, but maybe a little older now. Nah, 25 feels right. 25.
I think that feels great. What is her drive?
So, Thrill Seeker was kind of interesting because I was thinking, there's something about like being born really poor and seemingly like locked into a certain lifestyle. That's why she gets into like the flapper sort of like club life because it's glamorous and exciting. But then, so I'm into that. But then also maybe a little bit like some flavor of ambition because she wants, something greater than where she started. So I
really
know.
like ambition for her because she sounds like she's definitely climbed through the strata of society, right?
Definitely.
And it'll give her something in common with our naval officer who seems to have a little touch of ambition there. I think ambition's interesting. Should we use that one?
I'm into it. Ambition. Perfect.
Great. And so now we can fill in her investigative abilities. And you can tell me what you think, a couple of things. I see you're already filling some in here.
Yeah, in the interpersonal, I feel like I got a good handle on her. So I already put 2 points, and these might change. I got put 2 points in charm because I think that's her big thing, right? She's incredibly charming. I put a point in falsehood detection because a good liar knows a good liar. I did put a point in high society because I feel like she goes to a lot of fancy parties, so she does know how they work. She's familiar with high society folks, though she might not be high society herself. I put 2 points in streetwise. I like reassurance. What is reassurance? I like it. I want to put a point in it.
I was just gonna think about that. Like I would think you would be good at like making people feel like everything's okay, right? If that's what that means, yeah.
That's
really like pull one over on them.
Yeah, I really like that for her.
Positive reinforcement, basically.
Amazing. Yeah, I'm not going to put any points in authority, bureaucracy, intimidation. I might put a point in taunt, but I might take that out because I feel like she'd know how to throw a good zinger when she could. But for academics, I know we were worried about academics. So I have this idea that when she was a kid, she didn't want to be home because home is not a great place. Lots of crying babies and screaming parents and it's just dirty and nasty. So she spent a lot of time in the museum, in the Met. And because it's clean and it's nice and she loves to learn. And so she taught herself to read by reading the plaques at the museum. And
I love it.
I'm giving her a point in ancient and contemporary. And you know what? I'm going to give myself a point in future too, because she's established this like history buff sort of thing. So when she joined TimeWatch, she like learned all she could about the future as well.
Perfect. Love it.
And maybe I'll give myself a point in trivia and research for that as well.
Great. Great. She's really shaping up. How about technical investigative abilities? You want to look at those a little bit?
Forgery feels like a must for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As a spy. Spying, obviously. I'm going to give myself at least 2 in spying. Boy. I'm going to do... So what I'm going to do none is I'm not going to do any in outdoor survival or medical expertise. Maybe hacking. I feel like hacking could be important. And then
it's a gap right now with the group.
Yeah, I'll put 1 in hacking. I'm not going to put any in science or outdoor survival or medical expertise. Those are the ones I'm going to ignore. And then I'm going to spend my points elsewhere. Let's see how many. Let's see if I already have 20. Let's find out.
Well, no, I think you're doing really well. I think you're close, which is great. It looks like you have 6 in technical. You have.
I think I did 20 exactly just by accident.
Oh, did you really?
I think so.
It looks like you have 6 in interpersonal, and
no, I have 8. I have 8 in interpersonal.
Yes, you do. Yes, you sure do. 8
I have 6 in academic, 8 in interpersonal, and then 6 in technical.
Guess what? You're right. You did 20 just randomly.
Wow, look at that.
Nicely
It was
done.
meant to be.
Thank you.
Okay,
That's
great.
awesome.
So I can go ahead and get you started on your general abilities, and we'll just go reverse. We'll start at Mary Lou now and talk about general abilities, and then we will visit our other players briefly as well. So general abilities are the abilities that you roll for in this game. They're how you do stuff, right? You don't just find out information with them, you do things. So athletics, running, jumping, climbing, burglary, picking a lock, disguise, medic, preparedness, which preparedness is an ability that allows you to have an item on you. You just happen to bring it with you. Reality anchor is how you stave off the effects of basically paradox sickness. The more you time travel and the more paradoxes you create, the lower your chronal stability gets. And reality anchor allows you to heal your chronal stability the same way that medic allows you to heal your health. Okay?
Got it. Okay.
Scuffling is basically hand-to-hand fighting or fighting with melee weapons. Shooting is fighting with things that you shoot. Laser guns in addition to guns that fire traditional ammunition. Tinkering is repairing or changing machines and devices. Unobtrusiveness is your stealthiness, your ability to go unseen. And vehicles covers all vehicles from a chariot to a starship. Vehicles.
Once you know how to drive one, you know how to drive them all.
Hey, they all have a steering wheel. Wait, that's not true. Anyway, so you get 50 points to spend here. Now, that seems like a lot. But you'll find that they disappear really quickly into your pools here. If you get 8 or more, and 8 is really, you're starting to get into the upper limit of what a general ability would be at 8. You get a booster, meaning not only do you have that ability with a lot of points, but you get a special little bonus attached to it. So, for example, 8+ in disguise, you get something called Don't I Know You, where you can actually convince someone that they actually are friends with you or have met you before and have a relationship with you. Tinkering at 8+, you get something called, I think, Rapid Deployment, meaning not only can you quickly change a device, but you can do it so quickly that you can do it on the same turn, meaning you could boost your weapon's damage output on the same turn that you attack with it if you have an 8+ in tinkering. So if you want the little bonus ability, these all have little bonus abilities called boosters. If you want the bonus ability, make sure to put 8 or more points into the thing. Please do not put way over 10 in anything. You'll never have an opportunity to use all the points if you do that. Generally you don't want to put too few points in anything either, because you use these a lot. So basically anytime you roll, I'm using the word basically a lot, but there's a lot of basics to cover here. Anytime you roll, you're going to roll to do your burglary skill, for example. You're going to roll a 6-sided die, and I'm going to have a difficulty in my head. The difficulty is usually 4. So you want to roll a 4 or above on a 6-sided die. Now, normally that would just be a half 50-50 chance, right? That you would roll a 4, 5, or 6 on those 6-sided die. But what you do is you spend points out of your burglary skill. Say you decide I'm spending 2 points out of my burglary skill, and you add that many to the roll. So if you spend 2 points out of your burglary skill, you roll your 6-sided die, you roll a 3, you actually rolled a 5 because you added 2 points to it. Your general abilities refresh a little faster than your investigative abilities. They refresh anytime you get a rest, whereas your investigative abilities are gone until the next adventure.
Oh, okay.
Keep in mind that 2 of your investigative abilities are sort of just stats, your health and your chronal stability. Those start with an automatic 6, okay? But you should boost them up a bit. Like your health should be, 10 or above if you can put some points into that. And chronal stability, the more you suffer paradoxes, the more you change facts that you already know are true, the more that you create paradoxes in the game, the more your chronal stability goes down, and eventually you fade away like Marty McFly fading from the photo. So make sure that you put some points into that as well. Chronal stability and health both count as general abilities. So looking at our flapper, Imogene Dupree, I love the name. What kind of general abilities do you think that she has?
Okay. I think she's got definitely disguise and unobtrusiveness. I think unobtrusiveness has to, because she's a spy, so I gotta put at least 8 in unobtrusiveness.
You know what? Okay. Hold that thought, Mary Lou. We are I always wait for a cliffhanger before I do this, but character creation, the cliffhanger is, what points will Mary Lou spend next?
I don't know.
We're gonna go to a brief ad break, and when we come back, we're gonna finish these characters and put together our TimeWatch team. You are watching The Game Garage here on the Glass Cannon Network. What time is it? It's time to come back to our game. We are playing TimeWatch here on the Game Garage. I'm literally in my garage playing a game with 3 of my favorite people.
Is that the inspiration for the name? Is it because you moved your whole setup to your garage?
That's correct. Exactly. That's why it's the Game Garage. And all I have in here are tons and tons of games. So that's the idea behind the show.
Is it your own area? Is it like, this is where I play games? Is that what you tell your wife, and that's the only reason for that room?
Man cave.
No way.
Is your car just on the other side of your camera here? Like your car just parked right in front of you?
I've got a Camaro over here,
and it's running with the door closed.
Totally.
It's running. It's got a can of Budweiser on the hood. I've got calendars with bikini babes. You can't see them, but they're all over the place. Really hot bikini babes. This is my man cave,
and all your weights that you lift, and all those weights that you're always lifting.
You sound sarcastic, Mary Lou, but yeah, my weights are here too. My weights are here too.
No, that's just how I sound.
Here I go lifting weights, lifting heavy game books. Okay, we had to interrupt Mary Lou earlier. Mary Lou, you are spending your general ability points, the abilities you use to do stuff instead of finding stuff out in TimeWatch. Where are you putting
stuff points?
Your
Well,
points?
I had put 8 points into unobtrusiveness, but then my cat deleted them. He's currently in the process of laying on my keyboard. Okay, yeah. He pressed a button. Okay, Fat Boy. This is Fat Boy. Hi, Fat Boy. I'm putting 8 in unobtrusiveness because I want that. Don't I know you? Or no. That's in disguise. So that's I'm also disguise, putting 8.
You could put 8 in that as well.
I'm going to.
Will give you the booster if you put 8 in, called Nothing to See Here. You can take the lead on unobtrusiveness tests, and characters who are unable to pay the 1 point, basically other people you can lead people in stealth tests.
Ooh, okay.
Your friends don't have to have a bunch of points in unobtrusiveness. You can kind of go, come on, follow me. And they don't have to spend points to do it.
Hundo P, that's me. Yeah, I'm definitely taking 8 in unobtrusiveness and 8 in disguise.
Great.
Awesome.
I want to put... Oh, gosh. Okay, I got to put some into health and chronal stability just to be safe.
Yes.
So I changed these little yellow boxes, right? Not pool. Yeah. Okay.
That's right. You change the little yellow boxes or the little colored boxes, and the box beside that is where you'll put where your points currently are at. So if you were to spend some disguise points, you'd say you spent 2 disguise points, you'd put a 6 in that box beside it.
That makes sense. Great. Got it. Okay. I'm going to add 4 to health. Wait, so my 6 in health and my 6 in chronal stability, does that come from my 50? Or is that
nope,
just...
those are free.
Great. So I'm going to spend 8 points each, 4 in each, just to make it 10 in each, just for now. So that's 8, 8, and 8. That's 24. I'm almost halfway through.
Just curious, Jared, is that a recommendation? Like, is there a recommended place where you have your health or chronostability? Like, what is is 6 like drastically too low?
6 is too low. 6 is too low. Because you can lose, a D6 worth of points from them on one roll. So but you also aren't. I think you're not allowed to put them at like 20. You don't want to spend all those points getting them up that high. So 10 is good. If you want to go ahead and put it up to 12, that might work too. But it's up to you. I mean, it's how durable and how sure of herself is she? Because chronal stability is like, I know who I am. I am Imogene Dupree. I will not be erased from the timeline. That's what chronal stability is. And health is just how hardy she is, how healthy.
Okay, I'm going to put 2 more points in chronal stability then, because I don't think her health is super high. They didn't have the fluoride in the water yet. But I think her chronal stability is like pretty solid. And she's like, I think she took to the time travel like very quickly. It was just like, tight. Yeah, I got it. I time travel all the time when I study and when I go to the museum, I got it, totally.
I grew up time traveling in my imagination. It's not that different.
Exactly. Yeah. I think she's like power of the mind. She's like, sure, Okay. Okay, so that's 26. So I have 24 points left to go. Ooh, that's good stuff.
It's a lot of
if you want some time, I can go ahead and check in with our other players and see where they're at. Okay.
I'm gonna massage this, but I think I'll tell my other players what I am not gonna do. I don't think I'm gonna put any points in vehicles, medic, or shooting.
I got you on shooting.
Yeah, I think so.
She's got you
covered. So. Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna spend any points there. Anyway, as you were.
Very good. Let me ask, has anybody else gotten a chance to spend some general ability points? I see Joe O'Brien. It seems like, he has a name now.
He does. It's Captain Oswald Pate.
Captain Oswald. Oh my God.
And tell us,
well, what happened was I actually did not have a captain in mind, and you'll see I changed his age up to 47 and then bumped his looks to 60.
Yeah.
But the reason being that he, I think I wanted to lean in after what you guys were coming up with. I wanted to lean more into points in authority and bureaucracy, research, and outdoor survival, obviously. And so I put more stuff in those. And then I was thinking about intimidation, high society, those things. And I just was like, you know what? Why don't I just make him like a captain? Why not? I can make up whatever I want. I should be in charge.
Yeah.
So
he's a captain.
I made him the captain of the ship. Originally, I had him as like a petty officer or something like that. But captain's good. So then, I just started spending on these general abilities, but you're right, they go away so fast. 50 sounds like a lot. I've spent 47 and I have none in health and chronal stability yet. And I'm like, what am I going to take away? So I'll tell you guys what I focused on for him was preparedness and reality anchor. I just felt like those were a testimonial to sort of a captain and an older kind of person. So I knocked down athletics a few points. The book has explorer athletics at 8, which makes a lot of sense, but I feel like he's aging, so I knocked that down a few. I did none in burglary and disguise. That is going to be the purview of Imogene Dupree. Exactly. Medic, I put 1 point in because I figure he has to know some sort of field medicine. But right now, Paula, I'm kind of putting that all on you. I don't know if that's what you want to do. And if you don't, I can put more points in medic.
I've currently got 6 in medic at the moment based on what I'm throwing around. So I think that makes some sense.
I mean, I also want him to be able to scuffle and shoot. So I don't know. Maybe I'll drop a few points in shoot.
Yeah.
Do you have high scuffling there? You must, Mary Lou. You have high scuffling, right?
I can. Yeah, I had put 5 for scuffling.
Okay.
I think she likes knives. I don't know. I just got a feeling she likes knives.
She likes knives. Yeah, so I'm still working on massaging these. I'm having it's painful for me to pull points out of these abilities to put them in health and chronal stability. Mm-hmm. So I'm stressed.
But you have to. You must.
I know.
So you want a booster in like 1 or 2 things. Preparedness of 8 will give you a really cool booster, a really, really useful one called Flashback. Let me read that to you.
Ooh.
So if your preparedness rating is 8 or higher, you can narrate a flashback where your group prepared a secret plan in the past, even if no one had been aware of it until now.
Okay. That is cool.
Cool.
And then it looks like you have an 8 in Reality Anchor, and that gives you a really cool ability. It's called Grounded. Time traveling gets easier if your Reality Anchor rating is 8 or more. You automatically succeed at your first 4 standard travel tests. So every single time you time travel in this game, I'm going to make you roll a travel test. And each time you roll, you might lose some of your chronal stability. So yes, problems can be solved by just time traveling willy-nilly and going back to the earlier thing and doing the earlier thing that you didn't think to do, but there's a cost for doing that. You start to fade away. You start to feel less real. Now, our friend Captain Pate can ignore the first 4 of those tests that we do in a game.
That's cool because to me it makes a lot of sense.
Awesome.
I mean, he's a seasoned explorer, right? Going to these places does not throw him off. Okay, so I think that I'm kind of maybe squared away here.
Yeah.
I got my health to 10. I wanted him to have more chronal stability than health. That's all I knew. So I did health to 10, chronal stability to 12. And so I knocked down athletics, which makes sense. He's old. God damn it! I wanted to be young and sprightly. But you have to make these trade-offs if you want to be prepared and a good reality anchor, right? You
Just like in real life.
Right, just like in real life.
Yes.
As
Maybe
we were saying
that's
before.
the lesson we're learning in this game.
And in real life, I put all of my points into trivia. I have 0 athletics.
Yeah. I think a lot of us could say similar.
I took it out of shooting too. So I'm really gonna, once again, we're gonna be relying on Paula to shoot stuff.
Shoot stuff.
I put a few points in. The game is intimidating though in the way it lays it out. It basically says only put a 0 in a skill if you are prepared to never be successful at that skill, like to have no chance.
Yeah.
That's stressful for me for like tinkering, for example. Like I feel like there might be something you need to do and like you cannot do it. So I
got
just
us in tinkering. I decided to go 8 on tinkering because I feel like
and I've put some points into it as well right now because I feel like I might need to be able to like fix my arm on the fly or something. There's not like my focus. You know?
Totally.
Great. All right, then I'll put that at 0. So I have 0 in burglary, disguise, and tinkering. Okay. I just don't feel like he's a real like sly player in terms of like slipping in unseen. I mean, he's a grizzled dude. I don't think there's really any way around him being him. So, that's where I'm at right now. And I did move some points around. I put in investigative. I put a point in anthropology and architecture because I was reading about the explorer thing, and they were like, it makes sense. You would have this, and I get why. And then I just put my max points in outdoor survival, notice, authority, bureaucracy, and research because I figure you got to do a lot of research if you're a captain. So,
yeah.
I picture him like you were talking about with the terror. I picture him like in a in the captain's cabin in the hold of the ship, with like a smoke-filled room that's filled with books, right? Just like filled with books of like, you know, everything from maps and naval sort of charts to like ancient history and Shakespeare and shit. Like it's an interesting idea that he could be knowledgeable in society and anthropology and stuff.
Oh, TimeWatch would love to recruit this guy. He's the kind of guy that they bring on board. I love it. I'm going to look over at Paula here. Paula, it looks like you've kind of placed your general ability points.
Yeah. So I don't know if I've dumped in terms of my investigative abilities. There are a few things that I put 3 points in. Is that like too? Should I be more spread out, more well-rounded, or is that okay, Jared?
That's completely okay. If you were getting up to 4 or 5, I'd be like, you're kind of wasting your points because I don't think that many opportunities will come up. But I mean, you could charm someone or figure out ways to spend 3 points of charm. So I think you're okay.
Cool. So I ended up going. I'm heavy on the charm, a little falsehood detection. Fairly streetwise, fairly taunt, heavy on the medical expertise. I gave myself 1 point in notice just because I feel like she'd be like, not like all the time, but when really necessary, she could be like, oh yeah, I know how to like kind of case a joint. 1 in paradox prevention, just because that sounds fun. Of course, really heavy in science. And then for academic, we've got the 1 in trivia, 1 in timecraft that we came with, 1 in military tactics. And then I thought it would be fun to put 1 in architecture, because if I traveled to a lot of places, maybe it's just a thing I notice. Different cities have different buildings, and it's just more of like a hobby. I'm enthusiastic about architecture, but maybe I don't know a ton academic, like a ton about it.
Okay, great. Yeah.
So that's my thoughts with that. And then because I'm young, I thought my health, I just bumped it up to 10. And then my chronal stability as well. I think I'm 18 and I really want people to notice me. I want to take risks. I want to prove myself, which says to me I'm not super like set in who I am. I'm only 18. I don't even know what I'm going to major in college yet. Why do I have to decide this now?
Love it.
So I decided to keep my chronal stability at 10. So that's maybe a little bit risky, but I like the idea of like her being a little more at risk because she is younger. And then I put an 8 in athletics because I ride horses. I do trick shots. I was a performer in that way. I think you've got to be.
Yes.
Let me tell you what that did for you. You got a booster called hard to hit. Most people, the difficulty to hit them is 3 if enemies are firing at you, attacking you. But because you have an 8 in athletics, it's a difficulty 4 to hit you. That is, your hit threshold has gone up.
Oh, that's huge. Oh, the survivability there.
20% increase.
Awesome. And then just a little bit in burglary and disguise. Having a little bit of possible like street rat background. And then the disguise because, I know how to wear a costume, but I'm not a spy. I'll never be, Imogene.
Imogene level. I mean, that's a hard level to attain.
Yeah.
Like, she's a galactic tier spy.
Yeah.
What can I say?
I can sometimes dress up like someone else. Sometimes. I put 6 in medic.
Thank
4
you.
in preparedness.
Thank you. Nice.
4 in reality anchor. 4 in scuffling. So I'm just like kind of mid-range, like I can, but I'm not like super amazing, but I've got some skill in those things. 8 in shooting, of course, because I'm a sharpshooter.
And that gives you a booster called double tap. Double tap means, whereas most people can only take 1 shot per round, Dakota is her name, I see now. Little Dakota.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look, okay, they made me go by the name Little Dakota in the show. And so it is part of who I am, but I'd really prefer if no one used it. Because it's kind of, but they made me because I was small and they thought it was cute, Lil Dakota. But my name's Dakota Blaze, which is that the name I was born with? No, but it is the name I go by.
And
really?
She will be.
You weren't born Dakota Blaze.
She will be blazing away with her 6 shooters because, or her pacifist disruptor ray. Because she has double tap, she can take 2 shots per round. The second shot is at +2 difficulty.
Amazing.
Cool.
Nice.
And then I put a little in tinkering so that I could try and fix my robot arm. And then I have nothing in unobtrusiveness because I would like to be noticed.
That makes sense.
And as we know, our good friend Imogene can cover you on that anyway.
Sometimes
I got it.
Imogene can go, hush your mouth
Hush up.
and be sneaky. I'm like, I just want attention.
Later.
And then I don't know how to
Later.
drive unless it's a horse. So
That covers both Joe and Paula. Both Captain Pate and Dakota Blaze are ready to adventure, and it seems like Imogene Dupree is where she needs to be as well. Is she ready to go?
I am ready to go, but I had a question.
Great.
I am debating between, so right now I have an 8 in tinkering and a 5 in burglary, but I feel like I could switch them. An 8 in burglary and a 5 in tinkering. I don't know what would be more useful to our group.
Burglary.
Burglary?
Right.
Okay.
That,
I
yeah,
think
we don't
I'm-
have that.
I think I'm gonna
Well, yeah. I mean, you're right that we don't have an 8 in tinkering either. But I don't know.
I don't know.
It's what, yeah,
Kinda.
whatever you want. I can't decide.
Well, a spy I think would be better at burglary than tinkering.
I agree.
So I think I am gonna switch them. That just makes more character sense.
I
But
think
I
that
am
makes sense.
mathematically up to date. I have 1 point. Does 1 point really do anything? I have a couple that I have 1 point in. I have 1 point in preparedness and one. Actually, you know what? I'm taking a point out of preparedness. She's a spy. She's she's on the fly. She's an improviser. Preparing is a waste of time. So
Let me tell you what your 8 in burglary does for you. You have a booster called Fast Hands. Once per round, when in a close quarters fight, you can pick one antagonist's pocket without taking an action to do so.
that's amazing.
Difficulty 4 burglary test, and you can grab something off of enemies on the fly. That's pretty cool.
I love that. Yeah, it's done. I took my point out of preparedness.
You know
and
what?
put it in vehicles. So I've got 2 points in vehicles. Because
Great.
they just invented cars. I don't know. Sure, I've driven a car
Yeah.
before. I don't have a license.
It's the same as flying a starship, I swear.
Sure.
I feel like maybe I should maybe I'll take 2 out of my reality anchor and put them in tinkering. So I'll go from a 4 and a 4 to a 2 and a 6. So I have a little bit more tinkering. And if I feel like, oh, my chronal stability is lower, my reality anchor, maybe it makes sense for that to be a little bit lower as well from a character
That makes
standpoint. So maybe that'll boost us up a little on the tinkering as well. Just we've got a little bit more of that, which makes
Awesome.
some sense for me.
That sounds
I think.
good.
Love
Okay,
it.
Cool.
So
Set.
I'm gonna.
I also wanted to say that I'm making an adjustment here as I think about this character on the drive. We had previously put curiosity, and I just don't like it as far as like how I see it playing out in scene to scene. You know what I mean? Like how is curiosity going to
older
drive
captain.
you in a tough decision point? And so the idea that I came up with as I turn him into captain, and again inspired by what you said earlier, Jared, is like, what if he made a decision that resulted in the death of his entire crew?
You really
himself,
should watch
right?
Doctor Who if this is your character. You were basically
I
you
should
turned
watch
yourself
Doctor.
into Peter Capaldi's Doctor.
This is
Okay.
that's so interesting.
Yeah, so I'm looking at this one, drive in the book, Atonement. And it's like, you did something awful. Now, I'm not saying he did something that awful, but it was a decision, right, that he regrets gratefully. And so, to me, his drive, his atonement, is that he seeks intensely to protect the people in TimeWatch that he works with. And in the background, he's trying to work toward a way to bring everyone on that ship back. Like,
What
without
if?
TimeWatch knowing about it. Because
the
like that is
captain
a,
goes down
a
with
big
his ship.
no-no.
Captain
Ship
goes
was
down
going
with his
down
ship.
because
But
of
you
the choice
never
you
went
made,
down.
and TimeWatch zapped you out, so you
Yes.
couldn't go down, but everybody
couldn't
else
go down
died.
with your ship.
Get me back to my ship.
And they said, no, we need you too much. God damn it.
That is both sad and thrilling.
Yes.
I think that's a great.
You sound sarcastic, but okay.
No, I'm sorry. That's just my voice. You have picked a perfect drive. I love that, and we are almost ready to go on our first adventure, our first case with TimeWatch.
Smokes!
But before we start, I just want to let you know what you get standard as a TimeWatch agent and allow you the opportunity to add one or two things to your inventory of items, okay? So first, let's talk about your time machine. It's called an autochron. Basically, it looks like a rod with like buttons and like little, circuitry on it, and it stretches out to become longer. And then you hold it like handlebars, and you put in the date and the spatial coordinates, and then a bubble of energy surrounds you, and you travel to the other time period that have chosen. So it's a personal, portable time machine. Each of you have an autochron on you. So when I talk about an autochron, that's what we're talking about. Each of you is wearing an impersonator mesh. What is an impersonator mesh? Well, it lets different types of people visit places where they wouldn't have been very commonly seen. Basically, you can go back to ancient Egypt and no one's going to be like, who are those white people? You have an impersonator mesh. It's this like very fine sort of almost fabric-like mesh that goes over your TimeWatch uniform and over your skin. And it gives you +3 unobtrusiveness until you draw notice to yourself. Once you start talking to people, once you start getting into conversations, attacking people, interacting with people, that goes away. You no longer have that +3 unobtrusiveness. You have a med kit. That's how anybody can help heal, and it's got futuristic medical technology in it, so you're not just putting on band-aids and sutures. You're actually using devices that will heal wounds by firing up the cells and causing them to reproduce at a rapid rate and such things. So that's your med kit. You have, this is really fun, you have mem tags. So it's important that people don't realize that time travel occurred, because that will change the timeline. So anytime you have witnesses that you kind of need to, you need them to forget, you wait until they are unconscious. You must make them unconscious first. That's important. And then you slap a mem tag on them. If you slap a mem tag on them, it sends a signal to the Citadel, the TimeWatch headquarters, so the technicians will clock in, pick up those people, take them back for memory reconstruction, and then deposit them back where you left them at exactly the same time.
Okay.
They get abducted. They get abducted.
And probed.
There's some memory probing, some light or hard memory probing involved.
Got it.
You must make sure the person is unconscious first, otherwise it can make them go completely insane, which is bad for the timeline.
Got it. Great.
Speaking of unconsciousness, the sidearm that every TimeWatch agent is gifted by the organization is called a pacifist disruptor. It is a stun gun. You can fire it, and someone has to make a test with their health in order to not go unconscious. And so you each have one of those. It looks kind of like a ray gun, but it doesn't fire a visible ray. It just kind of goes like boom, and then like the person goes unconscious. You have a tether. The tether is your holographic computer that contains all the information about the real timeline, the true timeline, so that you can cross-reference with what's going on around you to see what is historically factual and what is not. It also allows you to do all kinds of advanced computations, track time signatures back to their coordinates. All that timey-wimey stuff would be done through the computer that is your tether, and it's almost like an Apple Watch. It's like It's on your wrist. It's very small, but it creates a holographic display. Mm-hmm. You have a TimeWatch uniform, which is a really cool blue and gray jumpsuit that is chronomorphic. What does chronomorphic means? It means that it kind of fits the time period you're in. So if you go back to Dakota's time period, it'll look like Old West clothes. It might keep the same color
best
scheme.
clothes of all, I would say.
It also gives you an automatic armor of 1. So anytime I tell you take damage and you're wearing your TimeWatch uniform, go ahead and subtract 1 from that damage because you have an armor of 1 with your TimeWatch uniform on. And finally, you have a translator, which is an instant, two-way, unnoticeable translator. Anything anybody says to you in any language, you instantly understand, because otherwise the game would mostly be about the politics of negotiating other languages.
I was gonna say everyone sounds British.
Yes.
Yeah, there was a bug when they were making it. There's like, and they can't figure out how to delete. Everybody sounds British. It's crazy. Yeah.
So just going to review the rules one more time because they are so simple, and we'll get into any more complicated versions of the rules as we more complicated cases as we play. But generally, investigative abilities, tell me you're using it, you automatically get a clue. Spend a point from it, you can get some bonus in the world, and you can help define that. You don't have to wait for me to tell you what happens when you spend the point. You could say, well, I'm spending this point and I think this should happen, and we'll negotiate that. General abilities, you roll a 6-sided die. Before you roll the die, ladies and gentlemen, tell me how many points you're spending out of that investigative ability, and that's how much you add to the roll. The difficulty is usually 4, which means you could say I'm spending 3 points in a general ability, and you're almost guaranteed a success. That's how you can kind of guarantee successes. If you roll a 1 plus 3, that's a 4. You're generally going to succeed. Okay.
Do you have to spend a point? Can I be like, I'm going to roll for my burglary, but I'm not going to buff it with anything?
That's correct. You can just do a plain old 6-sided die roll, and I will also add that if you have a 0 in something, you are incompetent at it. You do not, you definitely have no skill in it whatsoever, so you can't really try things you have a 0 in because you will fail miserably at it. But anything you have a point in, you're awesome at it. You're an expert at it. Okay? That said, are we ready to travel back in time?
Let's roll.
Or forward. Maybe we're going to travel forward in time.
Where are we going to go?
Oh, who knows?
It's exciting. Where are we going to go?
Where are we going to go, you guys? Oh my God.
No.
You can go anywhere, anytime.
Anywhere,
This is
anytime,
so
anyone.
exciting and nerve-wracking. Intimidating.
Yeah.
I just hope we know the language wherever we go. That's what I'm most nervous about.
Where in time and space will we be today? Hopefully we know the language or remembered to bring our translator. I will first ask you all. I'm going to start in media res. It's like the James Bond opening. You know what I mean? We're going to jump into the action and then we'll figure out how we got there. Agreed?
Great.
Okay, great. You are clocking in to a time period. In this case, you are clocking in to October 27th, 1962. Your autocrons are zapping you through the time stream. Paula, what does it feel like when you time travel? What does it feel like?
It's like vertigo. When you like stand up and everything kind of like spins, that's what it feels like until you like arrive. And when you arrive, when you've been jumping on a trampoline for a while and then you get off and jump on the ground and it feels like really strange that there's no give. That's what like the landing in the time feels like.
Excellent. That's exactly what it feels like. In fact, if you fail your time travel test, it makes you a little sick. It makes you a little nauseous, right?
Yeah.
Because it has that sort of vertigo feeling. And that's a good cue for us all to make travel tests, okay? So I want you to make a travel test. If you want, you can spend chronal stability, but remember, this is a test to make sure you don't lose chronal stability, right? So this is a difficulty 4. I'm going to go ahead and tell you the difficulty in this case because you're going to make this test a lot. And if you miss the test, you lose 2 of your chronal stability. So everybody,
Why did I give myself so little chronal stability?
Yeah.
I have immediate regrets.
You've all time traveled here. You're feeling that vertigo as you clock into this location. And how did you roll?
Dakota passes out. It's like, oh, Come on, Dakota. Get it together.
How did it go?
Bad.
What'd you roll?
A 1.
Oh, start with a 1.
First roll of the game, forget this die, this beautiful die. I land and I immediately vomit on the ground.
Great, and you lose 2 from your chronal stability pool. What about you, Imogene Dupree? How did you do?
So I didn't pass either, but just barely. I rolled a 3.
Okay, very good. You also take 2 away from your chronal stability. And finally, Captain Pate, how did you do?
I don't believe Captain Pate has to roll. Isn't that right?
Ah, that's correct. Captain Pate has the grounded booster. That is a really, really good point. So that's a 1 of 4 tests that Captain Pate does not have to roll. And I will ask Mary Lou, I will ask you, what does it look like? So our friend Paula told us what it feels like. What does it look like when you time travel?
Well, what it looks like is it's like as if you're inside a bottle of champagne, sort of. That's in the process of being popped, right? So you're in the bottle of champagne, you are the champagne, and then the bottle's popped. Somebody, some fancy guy scimitared it. And then a saber, I forget. And then, it's like you're like washing through like a big bubbles of champagne.
That's absolutely true. And I'll add this. The bubbles that go by sometimes have reflections of different years that you're passing by.
Oh,
so you
amazing.
You can see cars and you see a dinosaur and a bubble with a dinosaur on it fly by, a bubble with like Roman legionnaires travel by. But you have just clocked into the year 1962, specifically October 27th, 1962, and the 3 of you find yourself, both Dakota and our friend Imogene, slightly nauseous. You find yourself in a small, dark, enclosed space. All around you feel like shelves with things on them. The shelves are made of metal, and the first impression you get in this dark, enclosed space is boom! The entire tiny room that you're in shakes. It's like something hit something outside, and the whole room is shaking with like this incredible vibration.
That Cold War just get hot?
The Cold War just got very hot. Thank you, Dakota. Yes, because you now remember that you are here to stop nuclear annihilation. In real history, the Cuban Missile Crisis ended with Russia standing down. In particular, there was one incident with a submarine off the coast of Cuba that had a nuclear armament and was being hit by depth charges by the United States Navy. The commanding officers of this submarine argued whether or not to fire the nuclear weapon and ultimately decided not to in real history. But TimeWatch and your superiors have just detected that they did fire in an altered timeline. They did fire the nuclear weapon, setting off a thermonuclear war. You are now aboard the B-59 submarine 5 minutes before they fire that nuclear weapon. Your mission is to stop it from firing. Go!
Oh my gosh. This is such a side note. This is not part of the game, but I have a podcast and we did an episode about that incident. And look, I know I'm not here to promote my other stuff, but it's an amazing story. Okay.
Oh my gosh.
That's fascinating.
Infuse your character with all of that knowledge.
Yes.
And then let's begin talking to people. Oh wait, so we are on a Russian submarine.
You are on the B-59 Russian submarine, Soviet submarine off the coast of Cuba, off the coast of Florida, and it is about to fire a nuclear weapon at the United States of America. It never should have happened. True history says it doesn't happen, but someone has altered history and caused it to fire. You've clocked in 5 minutes before this happens. You are in some sort of supply closet. Dakota is vomiting. What do you do?
I vomited into a corner. Y'all, I'm real sorry about that. I guess we just leave it.
Just leave it. There's a mop right in the corner. Somebody will take care of it. Also, we'll be vaporized pretty soon. So it probably won't matter.
Well, that's a good point.
Another depth charge hits the sub, knocking you guys almost off your feet.
Captain, I feel like we should find the captain.
Yes.
Yeah, I guess we should. Captain, you know how all this stuff works on like boats and stuff. We gotta go talk to somebody.
Yes, we're in the hold here below storage. It seems the forward deck probably be this way.
And he's going to try to open a door and look into a hallway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So you are in some sort of supply closet. You open it up, you see another supply closet across from you, and then you can hear footsteps clanging on the metal and hear voices to your right and left, naval officers and sailors moving about. One thing you should know as you open this hallway door is that it stinks in here. There's been a lot of sweating and human perspiration. And
Smells like home.
Yes. Yeah, it probably does. And it also, there's something about the air in here. It feels like they're low on oxygen. So all athletics tests are at +2 right now because the oxygen is down inside of this sub. And there's some sort of there's red lights going off. Some sort of emergency is happening, obviously.
Well, smells like horses after a show in here.
Let's move quickly. Any sailors you see, don't speak to them. Just push past. They won't be focusing on us anyway.
Because we're just going to look like other sailors on the ship, right? I mean, isn't that
as long as you don't interact with people, your
Right.
impersonator mesh will make you unobtrusive.
Right. So he feels like there's enough chaos happening that we could just walk right by people, pretty much go wherever we want, and just like try to find. He wants to try to get his bearings within a few rooms, like a few feet or whatever, to see if he's moving aft or fore. And I think he'd be able to tell, maybe based on, I don't know, military tactics, like how these ships are laid out.
Excellent, excellent. So you've already figured out how investigative abilities work. You just say that you have it, and I give you some information. Your military tactics tells you exactly where everything would be on this ship. Your tether, your personal computer, helps a little bit as well. You know, being from the 1840s, you need a little bit of assistance. But you know that up and to your left is the bridge. Where you'll find the commanding officers of this submarine. You know that all the way to the front of the sub, to the right, is the weapons room, where the nuclear weapon is likely being prepped. Behind you, you know that it's probably barracks, not barracks, but the place where the men bunk down. And you know that right across from you is another supply closet.
All right, so he'll turn, he'll say, "Bridge is this way,"
and give sort of the idea of where everything's laid out. And then he's going to say,
"If that weapon was fired, it must have been fired on an order from the captain. Captain NXO for that matter. But someone else had to pull the trigger, right? So, do we stop the order from being given, or do we stop the order from being carried out?"
Well, I mean, part of me wants to go, "Ugh." I don't like that. Part of me wants to go straight to the top, to the captain, right? But if we want to get real, like, maybe we should get to the finger that's on the button, you know what I mean?
Well, I just think that it might be difficult to convince the weapons person to essentially not follow an order. I mean, the Russian military is pretty strict, I would think. And
That's
so
right, Dakota.
I kind of think
Well done.
the captain might be our first go, and if that doesn't work, then maybe we try and keep the weapons person from firing. I don't know what you think.
Sounds good.
All
Follow
right.
me.
and he just goes.
I'm happy with that.
'Cause
Okay.
As soon as she says it, he's like, that is the correct answer. It's going to be much harder. It's as hard as this is all going to be, much harder to stop a seaman from firing after being given the order than to stop the order from happening. So let's go that way, toward the bridge.
Okay, very good.
Is there
Yes.
possibly any... This might be a stretch. You will tell me. Any trivia I might know about these historical figures that could, the captain say, that could help me in knowing the right way to like emotionally manipulate him to not give the order, or a hint like that?
That's very interesting. I really like that idea. I would say if you want to know about the people who are actually in command, that would probably be history.
History contemporary, which I have.
Well, I ain't got none of that, so.
Yeah, if you want to manipulate them, then you'll probably use an interpersonal ability. Trivia sort of covers, it's sort of like knowledge of grab baggy kind of stuff.
Got it. Thank you.
So
but as we're moving, can I use that? Can I use that history contemporary to, even though I'm from before this time, being part of TimeWatch means I would have studied up through what's considered contemporary history. So I should know. He listened to Paula's podcast. That's what happened.
Yes.
In TimeWatch, he's listened to the podcast. He knows the names of the senior officers of the ship. Who are they?
Okay.
And what are their weaknesses?
Yes. So he knows that the captain is Captain Valentin Savitsky. Valentin Savitsky. He knows that the other commanding officers are political officer Ivan Maslenikov and the flotilla commander Vasily Arkhipov. So that's Captain Valentin Savitsky, political officer Ivan Maslenikov, and flotilla commander Vasily Arkhipov. And here's your real clue. History says that Vasily Arkhipov talked the captain out of firing the nuclear weapon.
And who is he again? What is that? Flotilla officer? What is that rank?
Flotilla commander.
Flotilla commander. Flotilla.
You say flotilla, I say flotilla.
Right. Flotilla commander. Vasily Arkhipov. Vasily. Okay, so
forgive my Russian pronunciation, listeners. Okay, yes, go ahead, Joe.
I was just going to say he shares this with both of his teammates as they're moving through these hallways. Okay. And he's actually looking. His instinct is to look toward Imogene, and to be like, to say, let's say, in the real timeline, he was convinced not to fire. Vasily convinced him. You may have to convince him otherwise, because I feel like her abilities are really going to shine here. So let's see.
If he was convinced before, he could be convinced again. You know what I mean?
Agreed.
We'll keep moving forward.
Okay, great. So you come to the bridge and you can enter. Your unobtrusiveness mesh should keep you sort of out of, everybody's vision for a moment. Or you might want to try an unobtrusiveness test to ensure that. Like to really kind of hide from them when you come in here. Or you might want to come in just, hey, here we are, and start talking right away. You let me know what your strategy is.
I feel like we should stay unobtrusive because I have I have a gut instinct that this political officer, Ivan, is going to be the rat in the kitchen.
Dirtbag. Known dirtbag, yes.
Politicians don't really, like to consider the actual human effects of their actions. And I feel like, I don't know, that's the guy I want to look out for. So I want to stay unobtrusive until I've clocked where Ivan is and who the captain is and whether Vasily is in the room.
Very good. Do you want to just depend on your impersonator mesh, or do you want to test right now to really sneak in and make sure that you're absolutely unseen?
I can spend a point and test.
Okay, great. Your booster for your unobtrusiveness will allow you to help if your friends want to also sneak in. Would you like to help them sneak in as well?
Yeah. Do I only get this once? Is this the only time I get it?
The booster? No, every time you want to use it, you have it. It is not a expended item.
Then absolutely, I want my team to be behind me. Yeah.
Okay, great. So
I'll listen if you tell me to do that, but otherwise, I'm just gonna go. I'm just gonna go on in there.
Love the energy and enthusiasm, but let's just be a little sneaky just for a minute or two.
All right, but we just don't have much time. Okay, I'll listen,
right.
and
You're so right.
I'll get back behind Imogen and try and mimic what she's doing that looks sneaky.
Okay, so your difficulty is going to go up, but not by very much because your friends are kind of because you have that booster, that nothing to see her booster, and Imogene can roll for all of you. So, Imogene,
amazing.
Would you like to roll your unobtrusiveness?
I do want to roll my unexpected.
And you're spending 1 point, is that correct?
Spending 1 point, and we already have +3, right?
No.
Because of our impersonator mesh?
Yeah. It says until drawing notice. Yeah, so that's probably an automatic success. But go ahead and roll, and let's see how it goes.
Well, I rolled a 2, so.
Yeah. So you rolled a 6 altogether, because I'm going to give you that +3 until you draw notice. So you sneak in, and you are absolutely hidden. No one has noticed you enter the bridge. I assume that you're like back behind like a console or something, kind of like sneaking your head over, and you see that there are a lot of sailors here, and they are looking at radar, and some are like speaking orders into a microphone. And then not far from you, I mean a couple yards from you, you see 3 men in officers' uniforms, and they are talking animatedly. One, it looks very tired. He looks very haggard, and you can see that this is probably the captain, Valentin Savitsky. And he's like, in a few moments, we will blast them. We will die, but we will not let them shame our country. And the political officer, Maslenikov, says, we're in agreement, Captain. This must happen for the glory of Mother Russia. And then Vasily Arkhipov says, yes, we are all of one mind. You must fire the weapon. It is the only way.
Okay, so just kidding. Now we know who the real rat is. This isn't the real Vasily. It can't be.
Right.
Oh.
Wait.
Oh,
No.
you think they could have replaced him with somebody?
I think that an evil time traveler is impersonating Vasily.
Well, does that mean maybe he can't be convinced to anything? We just need to get... Oh, gosh, I don't know what to do then.
Boom! Another depth charge hits the...
He's gonna... I forgot my own name. Captain Pate is going to lean in close to you two, and he'll say,
There's no debate to be had here. We've already decided. If we try to stand against 3 officers all of one mind, it'll never work. We need to find out what happened to Vasily. We need to find out how his mind was turned. Perhaps we go back a little further, find out where or who got to him and when.
is that like a viable option? Is that like a...
It's absolutely a viable option. You'll have to make travel tests. Well, you won't. But you could go back a little earlier. I will say this. I'll tell you this for free. Because at least one of you probably has paradox prevention. You all have it.
Yeah.
You know that this crew is not gigantic. You know, you're not just out in a city somewhere. You're on the crew of a submarine. So you're not sure how long your impersonator mesh will work well for you if you are trying to mingle among the crew, right? That will be, by talking to them, you will draw attention to yourself. But in the middle of this emergency, no one notices you.
Okay.
What does that mean?
Does that mean we shouldn't go back because we can't really interact well, or does it mean...
It means
we
it will be
should use this
difficult to
chaos.
interact. If you go back 2 months and get on this ship, it'll be really difficult to maintain your cover.
Understood.
I wonder if we have enough time to just forget these guys, go straight to the, the reactor where the missile's being prepared, and see if we can scuttle that plan.
Yeah, we could at least buy ourselves some time, right? Maybe I was wrong before. We should go right to the person before he even gets the order, and maybe we incapacitate him.
I'm ready to give the final order. The captain starts walking over to the microphone. You need to decide now what you're going to do.
Can we hack the microphones?
Yeah, can we
So they
cut
don't
the
work?
communications? Can we cut a wire? Like I think he would know how that works. Like as Captain Pate, do you think there's a way to like cut off the communications? I mean, basically the question is there no chance of getting back there in time at this point? He's about to give the order.
Hacking is an investigative ability, but maybe you have the general ability that will allow you to break into the communications systems here.
Tinkering?
I have tinkering.
Could you just cut it off?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want to try that?
Yeah, I think we should definitely just try and cut off communication so at least they can't make the order.
Very good. You may roll your tinkering and let me know if you're spending any points from it.
Do you want to tinker, Mary Lou, or you want me to tinker?
I'll tinker. I think I have a little more than you. I have 5 in tinkering.
I don't. I ended up putting 6 in mine.
Oh,
So we're close. Okay. We're fairly even on it.
and to be honest, I think you had the idea first. So I say you go for it.
But I also have real bad dice luck. All right, I got this, and I get down to where like I know in a little like there's like a little panel, and I'm doing it real like dun, 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 in between people so they don't notice me. I open up the little panel where I know like all the things are like connected to try and like find the right wire to cut to bring out the. And I'm gonna spend 2 points of my tinkering on it.
Nice.
Okay, great.
I rolled a 6.
Oh, there you go.
Nice.
So
This die is 1s and 6s.
the captain speaks into the microphone. Weapons room. We are ready for launch. I'm giving the final order. Go. Weapons room. Hello? They're not responding. Well, then we'll have to walk over there and tell them, says Vasily Arkhipov. And they start walking towards the weapons room.
Oh my gosh, what do we do?
So I just want to reiterate, I was not trying to talk you out of going back in time if that's the strategy you'd like to attempt. You are absolutely 100% welcome to do that. It will require time travel tests, of course. Or you can try something now. I mean, you could try talking to them. You could try just stopping them by force. You know, you tell me.
What I want to try is, so Vasily is walking to the weapons room, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Is there any way we can intercept Vasily on the way to the weapons room and sort of like, I don't know, I feel like I want to like take him hostage in the weapons room to like interrogate him, because clearly this is not our history's Vasily.
I have a thought, actually, before we jump. I have falsehood detection. Can I just know if that is actually a replaced person, or if something has happened that has changed his mind from how it happened, like how it happened in history?
That is a great question. I think that I'm going to say, yes, you get a clue. This is not Vasily Arkhipov. This is something or someone else that has taken his form.
So you're right. That's what we need to.
You're getting little hints.
That's what we need to deal with.
Dakota, you're getting little hints in the way. In fact, as they start to exit the bridge, he looks back and he kind of moves his head like that, and then he exits.
Ooh.
We've got to take him out.
Yes.
Yeah, you're right, because that is definitely not actually him.
Leave him to me and Dakota. Could you replace him?
So the question is, could I grab him? Haul him like as they're walking, right? Pull him into a side room, and can Dakota replace him with like a disguise roll? Like, can that like
Imogene, yeah.
Imogene? I'm sorry, Imogene. Can Imogene like? Is it that good that you can look like another person, or do you look like a nondescript person?
I mean, it would require some hacking of the impersonator mesh. Someone would need to have like a excellent skill in disguise in order to be able to do that. They would need to have, say, 8 or more.
Let's try this. Let's try it.
I can do that. I can do it, I swear.
Okay, so as they're walking to the weapons room, they go out into the corridor, and who is someone's grabbing Arkhipov?
Yeah, I was going to try to grab him with scuffling, I'm thinking. Just like grab him in a chokehold and then duck him into the storage room, the same one that we had initially warped into as they're walking past it.
Great. So I want a scuffling roll from you, and then I would like an Imogene. You are taking Vasily's place and going into the weapons room. Okay.
Yeah.
Very good. Let's go ahead and get the scuffling first. So you sneak up behind him. He's like last in the row of 3 men going down the corridor toward the weapons room. And tell me what you do.
He just, from any other view, he just looks like a Soviet sailor. He's just like walking up behind him, and he's going to wait just as he passes the storage room that we were in, and he's going to grab him immediately, left arm around his throat to just like make him quiet, right hand over his mouth, and then just dodge into that room real fast and give Imogene an opening to walk behind us as in disguise. So that's his plan. Anyway,
scuffling test.
Scuffling test, I will spend... This is a difficulty 4?
Usually, yeah. I mean, I'm not gonna always reveal the difficulties, but most things are difficulty 4.
I didn't know if you always knew that ahead of time. Okay, cool.
No problem.
All right, I will spend 2 on this test. Here we go. I got a 4 for a 6.
A 6.
For a total of a 6.
And I can tell you that you have succeeded. So you grab him and you pull him down the hallway. Dakota, you're with them, and you're gonna bash back into that supply closet you were in before, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
I'll
great.
just help like shove his, if he's dragging him in, I'll just kind of like make sure his like feet, I'm like just looking around, make sure no one noticed, help him push his feet in there. And
then as I'm grappling him, I'll just be like,
Dakota, close the door.
Close it.
So now the 2 of us are in here with whatever this thing is.
Yes, and I can tell you that just before it goes dark, as the door goes shut, you see a mandible break free of his face. He lets out an awful chittering sound as antennas start to sprout from his forehead. Meanwhile,
Dakota just vomits again in that same little corner.
So
Adding
that's
to
what
her vomit
Imogene
that's
is
already
seeing
there.
as the door closes behind her as she's following the captain. Oh my god!
so she's
Worse
using.
than the cockroaches in the subway.
She still needs to make a disguise roll, Imogene. But because she's got her booster, she can create a disguise. I mean, like that most people would not be capable of. These guys have been working with Vasily Arkhipov for years. You're one of the few people that could make yourself convincingly look like him using a hacking of your impersonator mesh. Go ahead and tell me how many points you're going to spend out of disguise.
There is a 0% chance that I'm allowing this to fail, so I'm spending 3 points so
Very good.
that it's a guaranteed success.
Yeah.
Okay. And let me just see what you roll anyway. I just want to know.
I rolled a 4 for a total of 7.
7 is enough. So
Nice.
They burst in and they're like, "Come on, Vasily, why are you taking so long? Get in here." All right. For Mother Russia, we have decided to make the ultimate sacrifice. We will be destroyed, but so will the capitalist pigs. And he's addressing all of the men in the weapons room. He's like, "Prepare to fire." What do you do, Vasily?
I just say, well, let's hold on just a second here.
And as you do that, you hear the echo of your translator just talking in like a deep, throaty Russian.
Gorgeous male, manly Russian.
Yes.
Let's just think about this for a second.
Vasily, you're having second thoughts. I thought that you were a true patriot.
And to that, I would say, because I am a true patriot, I value the lives of every comrade on this submarine so highly that I want to make sure that every single person, every single soul on this submarine knows, what's about to happen. So I feel like we should have like a meeting maybe.
Maslenikov says, "We just had the meeting on the bridge. We all were in agreement. You must give us a good reason why you have changed your mind. Surely you are not a coward, Arkhipov."
Only a coward, and I want to use my point in taunt. Only a coward, only a politician would be so easily throw away all the lives of his ship. Only a true leader understands that duty is harder than dying. Dying is easy, living is harder.
Someone write that down.
Stitch.
Yes.
Can I give a stitch for that? That shit
I
was
forgot to
awesome.
mention,
Stitch.
players can give stitches as well. And you all started with 1 stitch, and now you have 2 stitches. Mary Lou, Imogene has 2 stitches to spend.
Cool.
And make sure that you put that down. There's a place for current stitches.
Yeah, I just read it.
Great. Okay. So with that said, I'm going to tell you that you have totally thrown off Maslenikov, who seems not quite on his right footing, and the captain, Savitsky, goes, "You are sure of this? We are making a mistake. Perhaps I am exhausted. There's so little air. Tell me, Arkhipov, am I damning us all?
Not only would you be damning all the souls on this submarine, but all the souls of the capitalist pigs who haven't even been able to read Marx or Lenin. Shouldn't we allow them a chance to become better?
What interpersonal ability are you using? Because you used taunt to get Maslenikov out of your way.
Yeah. I want to use reassurance here.
Yes.
Because he's so tired and I don't think the captain is a bad man.
And he said it himself. Like, he just said, like, maybe I'm too tired. So you're just, like, reassuring that impulse that he already had. That's so great.
What I want to say is, to help reassure him is, I think we just need more time. We need more oxygen, and we can make this decision later. If we decide to press the button, which I don't think we will, but if we do, we should do it not now. So
I think that you can do this, but I'm going to require a point spend. Do you want to spend your one? It'll be gone for the rest of the adventure. Do you want to spend your one reassurance point?
I do.
He says, Arkhipov, you are a true comrade. Cancel that order. We must endure. We must endure. The horrors outside this sub will not create horrors within it. Thank you, Arkhipov. You stopped me from making a very grave mistake. But now everything is fine. Meanwhile, in the closet, the thing, all I can tell you now that it's dark is that the thing emerging from Archipov's body is beetle-like. And it's very large, and there's like a buzzing of wings as it sort of starts to reach towards you. What do you do?
I pull out one of my guns, I point it right at it, and I say, stop right there. I'll blow you to bits. Who are you? What are you doing here?
It chitters menacingly and attacks you.
All right. Well...
And let me just say this. Do you keep a 6-shooter in addition to your pacifist disruptor, Dakota?
Yeah? Is that okay?
Of course it is. I'm just going to add it to your character sheet. 6 shooters. You have traditional bullet firing guns. Mm-hmm. It attacks you. And when we come back on our next episode, we will see the results of this fight.
No!
That's it! Come on! And history still is doomed because of a fight with a big bug in a supply closet.
Just stop on it!
What a pest!
That is our session for today. I want to thank my incredible players, Joe O'Brien, Paula Deming, and Mary Lou. You guys were so fantastic and fabulous and all the other F words. I am really loving TimeWatch. Let's come back very soon, and next week, in fact, and play some more. Remember to use that Glass Cannon code on the Pelgrane website and buy your own copy, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Thank you, Jared.
Oh my goodness.